It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Good Tuesday morning to you. Let's just keep bottling up this weather. It is absolutely gorgeous. J-Mo under the weather, not going to be here. Zach Boyd filling in. Albert Pujols does it again. He hits number 703. But on top of that, he says bye-bye to Babe. He passes Babe Ruth for number 2 on the all-time RBI standings. That is amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. Tell you what else is crazy. We see a new transfer trend. SMU is losing at minimum 5 players to the transfer portal. They waited 4 games they played. And now really they can't go anywhere because we have these new windows. But this is the new trend. Sort of unintended consequences. If you want to transfer and you only play 4 games, you get the year back. It's that redshirt year. Remember, and you only get one of them, but when they made the rule, it used to be 2 games in football, right? And I forget what it is in basketball. It's a percentage of the amount of games that you play. And they made that 4 in football because they felt injuries could happen later. You really need to know, and it's not fair to a kid to lose a whole year if it's late in the year. Now, if you're trying to bring a freshman along, you play him 3 games, 4 games, you see what he can do, and, he gets a little taste of it. That motivates him, and then he's a starter or he's a rotation player the next year. What they didn't see with the transfer portal the way it is, that a guy would play 4 games and look around and see, well, I don't like this system. I don't like the way they're using me. The guy in front of me is too good. I'm never going to beat him. Goodbye. And that's what's going on. I would like to know, and I'm going to ask Ryan Silverfield this question. Anybody knows, text us on the 901-360-8255 text line. I am pretty sure until the end of the year, even if you say you're leaving but you stay going to class, the university still has to pay for your education through the year. If you're getting NIL money, you're still getting it through the year, even if you don't play. It's crazy. That's the way the rules are. And that is a new trend that we are seeing. So when Memphis plays SMU last game of the year, 5 guys that were playing, I think 1 was the starter, are not going to be around. And that has got to hurt SMU in the long run. The Grizzlies are back, 109-97 in front of, they said 13,431. If that's really true, that's a great crowd for an exhibition game, I'll tell you. 13,431 for an exhibition game tells you this city is crazy about their Grizzlies. They started Ja, Bain, Brooks, Santi Aldama, and Steven Adams. So that looks like the starting lineup for the regular season. They got one more exhibition game, Miami, on Friday. That looks like that's the way they're going to go with this thing. Playing last night, Conchar played, Williams, Clark, LaRavia, and Tyus Jones. Those were your next 5. Now, obviously, Triple J, Green, they're injured. Tillman's injured. So there's 3 more guys. Chandler didn't play much. 7 minutes, I think. I don't know if he's going to be included. Kenny Lofton didn't play. I got to believe Kenny Lofton has a real shot at making this thing. They were yelling, Kenny Lofton. The 13,431 on hand wanted to see Kenny Lofton. Afterwards, Taylor Jenkins said, well, I'm evaluating here. I guess he's implying he knows what Kenny Lofton is all about. So we'll have to see exactly what is going on when the roster all ends at the end of it. But Aldama, 21-6 last night in 23 minutes. Ja, usual thing, making steals, putting on a show, 22 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists. He did that all in 21 minutes. Pretty good stuff. Grizzlies a winner in a meaningless game against Orlando, but 2-0 in the exhibition season. And they're only playing 3, right, Zach? That's it? They play Miami Friday?
So it's this Friday, and then they got two more road games against the Magic. And
so they are playing 5.
Yeah, they're playing total of 5.
But 3 at home.
2 at home.
Oh, 2 at home. That's
2
right.
at home.
They started with Milwaukee at Milwaukee. 2 at home. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't it used to be you played 8 exhibition games, 4 at home, 4 on the way? Because your season ticket package was 45 games. They kind of forced you to pay for those 4 exhibition games. And now they're only playing 2?
Yeah. I think they're trying to cut down the
wear and tear.
Trying to go ahead and get the season going. So,
I mean, if you're going to go out there and take the risk of injury, it might be in a game that means something. You got to have some funsy games to learn about your team, make evaluations, see what the chemistry is like altogether. But I get that for sure. Now we know Memphis is going to play Missouri in St. Louis. I think there is some confusion as to Memphis moving that game to St. Louis. First of all, life, as we learned a long time ago, is all about leverage. And because at the time that Memphis made their home-and-home deal with Missouri, the language for a buyout in that day and age was $250,000. And then Missouri just decided, we're not going to play Memphis in Memphis. That program's gotten too good. We need wins. We're definitely not going to go there. We'll buy you out for $250,000. What? Where are you going to get another game? They already had to get another game with Bethune-Cookman. Can't do it. So the other possibility was, okay, we'll play you Memphis, but we got to play in a neutral. Well, if St. Louis is a neutral, it's a good trip for the U of M. Some people were under the impression, by reading the commentary that I did after some of the stories, that Memphis agreed to still play Missouri, but there would be no extra money. They would lose the $250,000 they would get for not playing them, and they would go play them on a neutral. Well, that's not the case. Memphis will make up to $1 million, no less than $750,000, by going to play in St. Louis. So it'll be a good trip for Memphians. Some of that $1 million is dependent upon people buying tickets and going to St. Louis.
Yeah.
That's $250,000 worth, but guaranteed $750,000 to go play Missouri, and you still have an SEC team and a Power 5 on your schedule. It's not ideal. It's not what you'd hope for, but you are making money, and you still have them on your schedule, and who are you going to replace them with? You'd already been stuck with having to replace at the last second North Texas. You got Bethune-Cookman. You couldn't do another one of those games. Who's going to give you a home game? Are you going to go to Texas and get no money if that would be the case? No. So this was about as good a compromise, I think, as you were going to get, especially if fans come, you can make up to $1 million.
Yeah. And that million, and again, it's $1 million. So just go out there, buy the tickets. The drive up to St. Louis is really nice.
Yeah.
Once you kind of once you get rolling.
Eat on the hill. If you like Italian food, enjoy it. It's about as good an alternative as you were going to get. Now, I think language and buyouts aren't the same thing. You wouldn't accept the $250,000 buyout, I don't think, ever again. But that was the language of the day. That was signed by an athletic director that's no longer with the university, and that's the way it worked out. But don't think Memphis totally got the raw end of the deal. I think it's still pretty chicken you-know-what of Missouri to back out of a deal they made. Memphis went and played them at home. They really should have answered this game at home, but they're paying you basically $750,000 to $1 million to move it to a neutral. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. A reminder to all of you, 30% off on in-stock spas. It's the biggest spa sale in the world. It is continuing in the month of October with big discounts on swim spas, and there's special financing available. All you got to do is get to I-40 and Whidden Road. See what I'm talking about. You'll love the way the store looks. Family Leisure, where family and fun and spas all come together. And this portion of the show, as we get ready for Tim Doolin to talk baseball, is brought to you by a guy who's a big fan of everything. He was a big fan of Tim Doolin's when Doolin was playing at the U of M. It's Matt Eflin and the Eflin Insurance teams with guys like Grant, Andrew, and Heath, all involved in the process. They do protection for you, insurance, a little different. They collaborate. They get to know you. They know your family. They know what you're all about. They know what needs to be certainly protected. They know what your budget is, so they can protect you the best they can, and they do that with an auto program. They do it with home insurance. They do that with life insurance. And if you've got a business, small to mid-size, their commercial insurance is outstanding. They're specialists with mid to small-size businesses. All you got to do is call 901-386-GER. That's 4777. The GER is for Tigers. That's the Eflin Insurance Team. Tim Doolin, Albert Pujols did it again last night. He waved bye-bye to Babe. He's now number 2 all-time RBIs. He's got 703 home runs. He was already a Hall of Famer, but what a storybook finish for his career. And I know you are buddies with him. He's just got to be in seventh heaven.
Well, you know what? He just is embracing the moment, and it's never been about himself. It's always been about his team. And I think, you know, with today's culture, with Instagram and everything, we try like crazy to educate our younger players on just stay in the process, be the best teammate you can be. Don't worry about yourself, and usually things work out individually for you when you have those priorities. And he's the epitome of it, and couldn't happen to a nicer guy. I'm so glad the Cardinals saw not only the opportunity to bring him back, but it's paid off big dividends.
Do you think, with as good as he's played, what is he hitting, about 265 now on the year? And he was not really swinging until, what, middle of July?
Yeah, it was after your All-Star break, he got really hot.
You think there would be any notion to come back next year?
I don't think so now. I really don't. I think that he's ready to move on to the next chapter. I don't know what that next chapter is. I can tell you, I do believe he'll stay in the game. He's super involved in his AP5 foundation. I think he'll continue to put a lot of his time and energy into that. But I mean, you know this, Wolo. It doesn't matter what sport, but once baseball for him gets in your blood at an early age, it never gets out of there. And so I think he'll stay in the game. You know, guys always talk about, oh, when I retire, I'm going to play a lot of golf. Well, you retire and play a lot of golf, and you realize I can't play golf all the time.
Right.
So I gotta figure out some other vices that get me keep me motivated and keep me competing. And I think Michael Jordan's done that. You know, I mean, he still plays golf, but he owns the NBA team, and he's able to keep the competitive juices flowing in various ways. And I think Albert's no different.
Would you see him? I think Mark McGwire, didn't he become a hitting
instructor?
Coach? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that Albert. I'm not saying he'll never do that. I don't think he's immediately going to do that. I think he's probably going to slow down probably next year and get his thoughts together and let his body recoup and get his mind focused on what he wants to do. Right now, he's totally engaged in making a deep run in the playoffs. And to be quite honest with you, you know, crazier things have happened. Look what the Braves did last year. They weren't expected to do that.
Right.
And so I'm not saying the Cardinals are a big pick to win it, but they're getting hot at the right time. And so who knows what happens. But I do think he's going to retire.
Since you brought it up, playoffs, they're all set now. Dodgers have 110 wins with a couple more games to go. They're going to be the number 1 seed. My goodness, there are so many good teams. The Braves record now over 100. The Mets. You got the Cardinals. Where they have 92 wins going into today, I believe. The Phillies make it for the first time in a decade or so. These are going to be fun playoffs, that is for sure. Can anybody beat the Dodgers?
I think so. I mean, as much as I want to see the Dodgers do well, I think so. I mean, obviously, no one would have picked the Braves to do it last year, and they did it. And so I think it's just going to come down to one of the more exciting playoffs for me, looking at all the things that you just mentioned of so many teams having huge success throughout the year. I think we're going to find out more about how good these managers are than we already know. The players are good. We already know the teams are good. But it's going to come down to some strategy in this postseason, and it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But I don't know that I've ever been more excited with the number of teams that are playing so well right now and have put up the years they have.
The American League, same way. Astros, Yankees. On paper, you think that's the ALCS. I don't think the Guardians have much of a chance, but it's a fun year, and one of these wild cards could make a run.
No, they could, and I think the Guardians are that team. The Yankees, as good as they played, they've kind of ridden a roller coaster throughout the season, even though they put up a number of wins. There's holes in that lineup. I'm just telling you, there's a lot of swing and miss. The Guardians, Terry Francona, if he's not one of the top two or three, I don't know who's better. And again, they're playing really good, and they pitch it. They play really good defense, and they've got guys that can not only hit balls over the fence, but they've got guys that can move runners over and make a lot of contact. We talk about it every year, right? About when you get to playoffs, you better have a lineup that can put balls in play and do some traditional National League small ball type of things, because obviously you're facing the best pitching in the game in the playoffs.
Well, you mentioned Francona. That's a great story, and obviously he's a great manager. One of the great managers of all time really failed this past year. I don't know if that was age and not able to get along with players. I don't know if his health was really bad, but the end comes for Tony La Russa of the Chicago White Sox. He retired yesterday. That's no surprise because he wasn't with the team for the end here, and I don't know if that was because his doctor told him to shut it down or he just sort of gave up. I'm not 100% certain what has happened. I don't know if anybody really knows what happened with La Russa and the Chicago White Sox. I know that we'll forget about this chapter. It's here now, but we'll remember La Russa as one of the all-time greats, especially with the Cardinals.
Well, there's no question that his legacy is very well written. This year was not good, and I think it was a combination of everything you just said. I think it was a combination of his age, his health, his ability to or not to relate to today's player. I think that was a big component, to be honest with you. And I just think it was time. I think that division was not very good, and they underperformed, whether it's partly due to management. They've had some injuries. They had some older guys in their roster. Lance Lynn was not healthy the entire season, which was a huge letdown for that club. But again, I think it'll be interesting to see in the offseason who the White Sox hire, because it's I think it'll be a division next year that's up for grabs, much like it is every year, much like the National League Central is.
Is that a tougher job because the White Sox are sort of the stepchild in Chicago? Cubs are number one.
I think it's partly. I think, and we talked about this, and I remember you got a little defensive, but when we talk about free agency and trying to lure free agents to come play for the Cubs or the White Sox, there's no doubt that I think the White Sox are a lesser attractive choice than the Cubs. But I think, no question, going to Chicago is not easy for a free agent to choose unless the money is so great they just literally wear it amongst the other layers of clothes they have to wear for the first 2 or 3 months of the season.
Last thing, 2 games left for Aaron Judge. He's at 61, so he's tied with Roger Maris for the American League record. Does he get a home run in, 6 or 8 at-bats today? He's got 2 games. I think it's a day-night doubleheader in Dallas.
Well, if you would throw your philosophy out and call the Rangers pitchers and tell them, say, come on, man, just throw him a cookie, then yeah, he's going to do it. I did hear earlier this morning on MLB Now that the Rangers said we are pitching to him. We're not going to walk him. So
good.
I hope that, here's the decision that's tough and I would think that Boone will play him in the first game in the outfield. I think he'll DH in the second game if he doesn't accomplish it in the first game. Obviously, if he can accomplish it the first game, he won't play the second game. But I hope he does it. It's been a legendary year for him. He's a phenomenal player, not just a home run hitter, but he's had great numbers. It's hard to realize. Here's a guy that's 6'7", 280 pounds, doing the things he does,
and he looks skinny at 280.
Oh my God! And he runs. This guy's amazing. So.
And he bet on himself this year, and he's going to make $1 billion because of it.
He's going to make a lot of money. There's no question about it.
Tim, as always, we appreciate it. Thank you much. We'll be talking playoffs next week.
Sounds good, Wolo. Thank you.
Thank you. That's Tim Doolin, our man on baseball. He's brought to you in part, if you like to get a little juice on any of these games, football games, baseball games too, playoffs coming up. I've got the place for you. BetUS.com. You want a sports book that's got integrity and longevity. How about 28 years involved with the NFL and all the years they've been involved with MLB and NBA, and we got those games coming up. Or there's even bets on MMA and golf and horses and esports and European slots with live dealers waiting for you at tables. All you got to do is call 1-800-79-BET-US or you go to BetUS.com. Now, look, it's easy to sign up. And if you do, you got the best signing bonus in the game, 200% or up to it if you join. You'll love this place. Your favorite sports book, BetUS.com, is the place to go. And when you do, you got to use the promo code. It's simple, Sports56 Radio. Sports56 Radio. BetUS. That's where the game begins. And our title sponsors, Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. That is where you'll never pay more than sticker price. In fact, right now, on a new Hyundai Santa Fe or Tucson, you'll get $500 off sticker price. And you'll have some options on real special financing. All you got to do is go to Highway 78 and the first exit in Mississippi, Craft Road, and turn left. You'll see my friends. They get so much customer retention because you're taken care of at Homer Skelton Hyundai. The NFL is front and center with the one and only Jeff Moore. He comes your way in a minute right here on Wolo and Friends.
Let former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy take you home every afternoon with Sports Time on Sports 56. Weekdays from 3 to 6 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, fellas. Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, and it's fall now. The weather's changing, the days are getting shorter, and we all are at least beginning to think about Christmas. This will be our 37th Christmas at Russell Brothers Jewelers, and I enjoy every minute of the season. I invite you to come see our wide selection of the finest jewelry in Memphis, jewelry that's guaranteed to make her happy. Diamonds and rubies, sapphires and emeralds, the most beautiful gemstones that you can imagine, and you'll find a selection of rings and earrings, bracelets, and pendants that will show those gems off to their finest advantage and will put a smile on her face. With our experience, we can help you find just that perfect piece, the piece that says, I love you. For 37 years, we've offered the most stunning jewelry in Memphis, and when you couple the jewelry with our quality and beauty, our value and service, you'll be glad you joined the Russell Brothers Jewelry family. Russell Brothers Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins.
You need concrete coatings, materials, and supplies in Memphis fast, and you get this answer? Oh, yeah, we got that stuff, I think, but it's in Wisconsin, so you're going to have to wait a few days for delivery. Why wait? Get your concrete coating and supplies now at TSS Supply. Everything that you need for coating concrete at TSS Supply, 5665 East Rains Road, and you're not dealing with just any supply store. TSS Supply specializes only in concrete coatings, materials, and supplies, all in one place. Most products are delivered same day or within 24 24 hours. Looking for a particular item, you need large quantities, or just have general questions? Call them at 901-729-0565. Or you can email your question to Brad at tsssupply.com. All month in October, TSS Supply is celebrating its grand opening with 10% off your first order. Come by TSS Supply on Wednesday, October 5th for their official grand opening party. Sports 56 will be broadcasting live, plus have free food and prizes. TSS Supply, 5665 East Rains Road.
Bienvenidos. Welcome to Los Cabos with 4 locations: Quince, Bartlett, Germantown, and now on Goodman Road. Los Cabos serving the best food in town with quality service and a fun family atmosphere. At Los Cabos, food and drink are an important part of the dining experience, so you get exceptional food with cocktails worthy of that food. You'll find the best margaritas at Los Cabos, along with delicious specialty drinks, handcrafted cocktails, beer, and happy hour specials 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. Los Cabos is open for lunch and dinner, with lunch specials every day starting at $7. Come enjoy delicious Mexican dishes and seafood at the best sports bars in town. Visit with family and friends and enjoy Los Cabos Mexican Bar and Grill. Los Cabos, now with 4 locations: Quince, Bartlett, Germantown, and their newest location, 3964 Goodman Road, just a few minutes down the road from Getwell. See you soon at Los Cabos.
Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. Choate's is offering some amazing specials for this month only. If you're considering upgrading your furnace before the cold weather comes, Choate's is offering $1,000 off a new Carrier furnace. If you don't need a new furnace, Choate's is now offering its early bird $60 furnace tune-up. This 22-point tune-up includes a free carbon monoxide test and heat exchanger inspection. And Choate's is your indoor air quality expert. For the best quality air for you and your family, it's recommended to have your air ducts cleaned every 8 years. This month only, Choate's will install a free UV light system when you get your air ducts cleaned, a $500 value. Call us at 347-8086 to take advantage of these amazing deals. So, turn to the experts with Choate's, and remember, let our family serve your family.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Just a quick program note. I meant to say this at the top of the show. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News on college basketball, their lead college basketball analyst. He will follow Jeff Moore, who comes your way in a minute. They're all brought to you in part by Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. Ken knows you're making a big decision. You're building that dream home, or maybe you love your old lot, but you're so tired of having an old home. You want the modern amenities. You want the new media rooms. You want the granite tops. You want island in the kitchen, the California closets. Nobody knows how to do all of that better than Ken. He's been around forever, second generation. He and his dad have built palaces. I want you to look at them, kengarland.com. Then call Ken. See what's possible. Maybe you're looking for land. He's got it. Maybe you've got land. You're not sure how to utilize it. He knows. He knows exactly what to do. A guy who sees little details and big picture all at once. Please call him. Ken Garland at 901-751-1632 or go to kengarland.com. Jeff, I'm a Bear fan, right? I've always loved defensive football. Boy, I guess we got that last night, huh?
The San Francisco 49ers defense was outstanding. And, of course, whenever you sack the quarterback 7 times and get 11 quarterback hits, you should win the game. But it's just interesting for me to see the dominance in this rivalry between the Rams and the 49ers, particularly the regular season. And it's one of the great things about division football is that teams, regardless of their records, those games are the most competitive. You know those teams, you know those staffs. But to see the 49ers have that kind of dominance in the regular season is going to be fascinating to watch going forward because they both have young coaches. And, you know, Kyle Shanahan seems to have a one-up on Sean McVay.
I'm just amazed as we look at standings how much parity there is in the league. I know we talked a little bit about it, but, you know, we haven't played that many weeks. and there's only one undefeated team. That, I think, is a surprise that it's Philly. Miami finally lost a game. You've got some really good teams. We'll get into that in a second. But are you surprised at no super team at this point?
I'm not. Last year, we saw a lot of the same thing. I mean, the Rams and Cincinnati, I mean, who would have picked those two teams at the beginning of last season?
True.
So going into this season, it's wide open. It's very competitive. Teams realize that you got to play 4 quarters. You got to do the fundamental things to win, not turn the ball over, that type of thing. But it's refreshing and fascinating to know that your team has a chance. And to see teams like Jacksonville being competitive for a change, Cleveland coming up and being competitive. I mean, it's just great to see, and makes for great football every weekend.
Well, and, the NFC East has been NFC least for a few years, and now here's Philly, the Cowboys with Cooper Rush. What a story that is becoming.
Yeah.
I mean, the NFC East, minus Washington, might be really the best league or division in the league.
It is they're playing the best football right now, and they're it's fascinating to see. And of course, for me, whenever the Giants are relevant again, I mean, it just makes that division more interesting. They've been down so long. I'm a big Saquon Barkley fan. It's great to see him playing healthy for a change.
That wasn't for me this week.
Danny Dimes,
ran over the Bears.
Danny Dimes back there running touchdowns, playing well. I mean, it's just great to see these guys starting to have some life in that franchise, and so it makes for great. And who could have seen Philadelphia rising out of the ashes? They made the playoffs last year. Jalen Hurts is showing that he is a great young quarterback. He talks, this is his first time in a long time having the same coaching staff for 2 years in a row, which is kind of unique.
Right.
He talks about the advantages, though, or the things that he learned from all the different coaches that he's had
Doug
when there's been turnover.
Yeah.
And it's just made him better. I mean, he's just really focused and locked in. And, his coach told him after the game that the reason that they went for it at the end was that he trusted Jalen Hurts. And he said that really meant a lot to him. So, I mean, it's that team, what they're building in that culture, they're going to be tough to beat.
That'll give you a lot of confidence when your coach says that to you and then you come through.
Absolutely.
And you know who scored that winning touchdown, don't you? Kenny Gainwell, former
right.
Tiger. And you brought this up. So we've mentioned a few running backs, what Barkley has done. It seems to me that running backs are coming back. We're seeing more rushing attempts and success than we have in a couple of years when it's just been a passing league.
It really has. I think, again, it's trend. The league is very much known for duplicating what works. And teams are realizing that if you can run the football, get first downs, and then use your play action, it just opens up your passing game that much more. I'm glad the Titans kind of realized that and kind of got the ball back to Derrick Henry. I think that's contributed to them having some success. If you got balance, I think in the league now, your team can be much more formidable.
It was announced Tua Tagovailoa is not going to play this week. A lot of controversy about playing after being taken out. Doctor that gave him the okay was fired. It was not very clear to me because the initial things that Miami said were basically he had a back injury at first. That's part of the reason why they let him back in. I don't know what the real answer is. I know you are more susceptible if you've had one concussion, and I know the second one that he got, that was a vicious hit, and he's out now for a while. Are you concerned? We saw Brian Hoyer go out with a concussion last week in the very first series. He gets a shot because Mac Jones got hurt. Are you worried about concussion protocol, doctors, the way it works in the NFL?
I'm not worried about it. I think, unfortunately, the situation was mishandled with Tua because, again, when you see a guy stumble like that after taking a hit, you just don't take a chance on what he says is his, how he's feeling and what have you. But I really think the league is all over this problem, and they're going to be proactive. And they've already announced if someone is showing that they have some trouble with their motor skills, they're just not going to play anymore. And you just have to be that demonstrative when it comes to protecting players. And I think the league has got to, and the Players Association is going to hold them accountable. That was mishandled, but I think that you're not going to see much of that the rest of this year for sure.
I think they should all go to this new turf that's at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. And seriously, it's got a pad. I don't know how big, quarter-inch or whatever the pad is. And it's, I think, underneath where the rubber pellets are on these new turfs. Mm-hmm. And they say it cuts down on concussions. The gloves they put on the helmets, I've said that. Now, somebody told me those gloves, if you put them on, there's really not enough evidence that it cuts down. They say 50% of concussions. Some people have said they're not slick and you stick. There's better new helmets that could be purchased that are better against concussions. I do think the league needs to work on it. And if it's true about the selling point of like the field that it's at Memphis, they ought to go to that.
Well, I've got to believe that there's folks looking hard at that option because they are definitely locked in terms of player safety, the league and the Players Association.
All right, you tell me. Who's the best team? Is it Buffalo because they got offense and defense? Is it Kansas City because their offense with Mahomes is about as pretty to watch as there is? Is it the undefeated Philadelphia? Is it the Green Bay Packers? Is it the Miami Dolphins? Who do you think is the best team right now? What are we? Not quite a quarter of the way through the year because now it's 17 games.
I think this Philadelphia Eagles are the best team right now. I think Buffalo is right behind them. And then I think Buffalo's very fortunate to win this weekend because I thought Baltimore should have won that game. But it's close.
So just to go back there for 1 second, and I'll let you go back to this. But if you were John Harbaugh, we've had this discussion. I gave him a rust yesterday. 4:15 left to go in the game. Analytics, though, tell you go for it. It's 4th down and 2. You're at the 3-yard line. You can take the points and take the lead with 4:15, make Buffalo do something, put pressure on Buffalo, or they decide to go for it. It's only 4th and 2, and the worst scenario happens because even if you didn't make it, now Buffalo gets the ball deep in their own territory at their 3 or inside their 3. Instead, you throw a pick. They get it at the 20. That totally backfires. What would you have done if you were John Harbaugh?
I would have kicked the field goal just to take the win. I understand his thinking, though. I mean, the defense had given up 17 points. And then if they don't make it, the other team has to go 98 yards. But you play to win. I mean, you best case scenario, if you don't, with that other scenario is you tie.
Right.
And
you go to overtime.
Yeah. So, I mean.
And you're at home.
Right. So, tough call and frustrating call, I'm sure, for that team. But they played well enough to win the game, and I think for them as a team, they'll come together and just play better. They're a dangerous team in the AFC. Don't dismiss them.
No, I would agree with that. Tampa, would you put them? I think they learned something about themselves this last week in that game with Green Bay because they scored 31 points.
They did. I think Tampa getting their players back healthy is important for them. They still got some things they've got to work out in their offensive line. And, of course, they ran into a juggernaut. I mean, we've not seen Kansas City run the ball like this. We talk about Patrick Mahomes' magic. But, I mean, they had close to 200 yards rushing, which they hadn't done in a long time. So,
they got 2 running backs now, too.
Right. So, I mean, Tampa's going to be okay because of their division. Atlanta's horrible. Carolina's not much better. And, of course, the Saints are still trying to figure it out. So, I mean, they should be fine. I think they're going to get better as they play together and they get guys back healthy.
Last thing for Jeff Moore, former Volunteer, your Vols at LSU, and Tennessee is favored by 3 in this game. Are they ready to take that next step?
I think they are, man. I'm so excited about this team. Offensively, they just score a lot of points, and their defense is playing better this year. And I think they're playing better because the offense is playing so well. They have a lot of confidence. I can't remember the last time we were in the top 10. This coach really got these guys dialed in, and it's exciting to watch.
So they're beating LSU. That's your prediction.
That's my prediction.
All right. That's Jeff Moore. We thank you so very, very much. This portion of the show brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric. You got to get the heating system tune-up. You got to get it to make sure your system stays efficient. Efficiency means longevity. Efficiency means you will cut down on your energy bills. That's what it means. Look, $69, peace of mind, longevity, you can't beat it. 384-3511. Get it done now. I don't worry about my heating and cooling costs because I know my system is efficient. Yours can be too if you call Conway, 384-3511. And this portion of the show brought to you by the folks at AmeriCare and their 3 wonderful assisted living and memory care facilities in the Memphis area. South Breeze, that's in Memphis on Hacks Cross. In Collierville, it's Schilling Gardens. And in Olive Branch, a great place, Olive Grove Terrace. And right now, at 9684 Goodman Road, you can get special move-in deals. So I would check with those folks at 9684 Goodman Road. Look, the thing I love about AmeriCare, first of all, they started with one in Sykeston in 1981. They got 133 facilities. And it's not just because they serve good food or they make sure you exercise. It's a philosophy of wellness, and they've got it down. They do even specifics to reduce your risk of falling, but it's more like, who's your company at mealtimes? Does where you live feel like home? They make it feel like home. That's the beauty of AmeriCare. That's the beauty of South Breeze, Schilling Gardens, and Olive Grove Terrace. And again, check in Olive Grove Terrace because there are some special move-in deals that you want to find out about. We'll find out about college basketball. Was Mike DeCourcy shocked when the IARP just gave Memphis a slap on the wrist? We'll find out in just a minute.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkham for Sunrise Buick GMC Truck. Thinking about buying a new or used car or truck? Remember, the selection's better and the savings are bigger at Sunrise. Over 600 new cars and trucks to choose from. Factory rebates up to $2,000 and interest rates low as 0%. Bad credit? It's okay. At Sunrise, we've got a financing plan for everybody. SunriseMemphis.com. We're saving you money. It's just a way of doing business. Covington Pike, Wolf Chase, and Collierville. We make it fun to buy a car again. Check out the all-new Sunrise Truck Corral. Huge selection of nothing but trucks. All makes, all models, all prices, all trucks, all the time. Next to Sunrise Wolf Chase.
2000, 2008, 2022. When it comes to the economy, those are some scary years. .com crash, housing crash, and the roller coaster we're going through right now. It's a dangerous time to not know your numbers. But over 31,000 businesses have the confidence and clarity they need because they rely on NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud financial system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control of financials, inventory, HR, planning, and budgeting. Manage risk, get reliable forecasts, improve margins. Everything you need all in one place. So, how do you prepare for uncertain times? The answer, NetSuite. NetSuite helps you identify rising costs, automate your business processes, and easily see where to save money. That's why 93% of customers say they improved their visibility and control when they upgraded to NetSuite. What are you waiting for? NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind flexible financing program. Head to netsuite.com/play. netsuite.com/play.
So what if summer's coming to a close? It'll be back, and you'll be ready with a new spa. Why's that? Because the world's biggest spa sale is happening right now at Family Leisure. Right now, through October the 2nd, you will get the best ever prices on spas. Family Leisure has a large selection of spas still in stock and ready to ship, and up to 30% off. Yes, 30% off in-stock spas. You want a swim spa? Now's the time to buy with huge discounts just for you. Special financing is available. Plus, you can get free upgrades on select spas. Just ask about it. Family Leisure also has fantastic deals on saunas and massage chairs. So, while summer is coming to a close, you should be opening up to a new spa during the world's biggest spa sale happening right now through October the 2nd at Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Last week, the news came out. The IARP, we've been fearful of that acronym. It came out and, wow, Memphis got, I don't even know if you could call it a slap on the wrist. It was pretty darn amazing. Let's get a national perspective from a guy who's joining us for I don't know how many years in a row with this radio station. Between myself and George Lapidus, he's been connected with us for such a long time. He is the lead basketball analyst for the Sporting News. You know Mike DeCourcy. What was your first take when you saw the penalty, or lack thereof, that Memphis got from the IARP? Good morning.
Good morning, Dave. I liked your analogy there. I think that a slap on the wrist could hurt if it was done by the right person and applied properly. This was more like being sent to bed without your dessert. I mean, you got to eat dinner, you got your burger and fries, but no pie for you. That's basically what the Memphis Tigers got here. And you know what's interesting is that if you look at the case and you read through the case, it's really hard to understand how it came to this. How the resolution was basically no penalty at all. And you know, I'm happy for the players because obviously they don't have anything to do with this. But Memphis basketball is very fortunate that this is the position they're in now.
When I read that over, and I saw, first of all, there were 4 level 1 violations that were just obliterated. There was nothing there. And honestly, and of course, I do look through this with the blue and gray glasses. But my sense of it, and I had the sense all along, was that after talking with lawyers and talking with Penny and seeing the history here of what exactly occurred, the IARP realized there really is not a case here. Because when it's all said and done, Penny had no idea he was going to be the coach of the University of Memphis.
True.
When he moved James Wiseman's from Nashville to Memphis and paid $11,500 to the mom to move, it had nothing to do with college basketball.
Yes, absolutely, and that's the heart of the case, and I get that, and I'm not contesting that at all. I think it comes down to more the investigation itself. If you see how in some ways the level of cooperation that the NCAA/IARP got was not always at its best. And let me say this though. Okay, so I'm saying Memphis got off easy here. Well, as you know, Dave, and I've said regularly since it's been a dozen years now, if not more, that Memphis got royally hosed in the Derrick Rose case.
Yeah.
That was an absolute joke. The construction of the case was a joke. The prosecution of the case was a joke. The finding that the device that the chair of the selection committee at the time, the now late Paul D. From Miami, the device, the strict liability device, basically they like, oh, this is strict liability. Okay, so then there have been 50 cases since where, what, strict liability? What's that?
Right.
So in a way, like I said, Memphis got really a raw deal then, and so this time they got some grace. So at the very worst, it's evened out.
Do you think that was a part of it? And I'm going to ask you this question that Penny was asked, and he came up with the smart answer: no comment. But If this had been the NCAA making the decision and not the soon-to-be defunct IARP, would it have been a different result?
I think it probably would have been, to an extent, a different result. Yes, I can't say how. It's very rare for the NCAA as a body to vacate a level one or what used to be a major violation. It's very rare. Now, people point to the North Carolina case, the academic case. It was a much different deal. I remember when that first emerged saying, I don't know what rule they've got to apply to this. And they tried to make it an extra benefits case. And when they did that, I thought, well, that's kind of ingenious. Try that, and I wrote that. That seemed like some ingenuity on the part of the NCAA, but they couldn't, in the end, make it stick. I think the question here really, as much as anything, rested on the fact that the university chose to play him when he was ineligible, when they knew that he had been declared ineligible. And I know that it was said in the ruling that Penny didn't know,
right,
and that he got off
for one of the games.
That.
For one of the
yes,
games,
for one of the games. But then he played two more after that. So why that got sort of brushed aside, I'm not sure, and don't really understand why that happened. And in the end, because James chose not to join the team, one thing I would say is that if anybody doesn't think that Memphis was penalized by all this, I mean, James played 3 games and left because he was suspended for a dozen more. So at least that was at least part of the decision. It certainly sort of was the catalyst for his decision to leave. I think if he had played most of those games or half of those games, or the suspension had been more reasonable, I think that I think he would have finished the season. Obviously, that season didn't end with an NCAA tournament, but it still would have been a fun year for Tigers.
I've heard a lot of people say that, if they had just accepted it, he would have missed 9 games. That was it. That was the initial.
Right.
And maybe they could have gotten that with an appeal cut to 6 games. Who knows? Who knows? Here is my take on that. And I tell people I don't know this for a fact, but you've got to remember that in that ruling, when the 9-game suspension came out, there was also a repayment by Mrs. Wiseman to somebody of $11,500 that she got when James was a junior in high school.
Right.
And I don't think she wanted to pay the money back. I think that was a big part of the decision that James just said, to heck with it. I'm going to go and get ready for the NBA draft.
That's fair, although, honestly, I think you can work out a payment plan on that. And she could have paid little, and then I'm a pro. So, and then at that point, you either write the rest of the check to the charity because you got money, you got NBA money, or you just say bye. So I think that's probably reasonable and fair, but that could have been handled if he wanted to play.
All right. What do you make of the University of Memphis and the American? I know Houston is high on everybody's list. Tigers did take a hit when they lost ACOT to Western Kentucky. What do you think of this University of Memphis team this year?
I think there are a few pieces. I think a lot rests on DeAndre staying healthy. I've always been a fan of his.
Yeah.
And he has to stay healthy and play a full year and be the player he's capable of being. You've got a big, solid body in Malcolm Dandridge to hold things together. And then I think maybe the most important player in some ways is Jaden Hardaway. I think he's got ability to blossom, and that there's something there that maybe comes out, because losing not only the ACOT and that sort of thing, but I think more important was Imani Bates' decision to not return to Memphis. It hurt the Tigers, a fair amount, because he's got a lot of ability and could have helped them, and it hurt him tremendously because everything that's gone on since he emerged as a freshman in high school as a super prospect. Everything that's gone on since has been a disaster for him. And what he needed more than anything was the continuity of going back to Memphis having more or less the same coaching group, and trying to harness the talent that he has. And it's a shame for him and for the Tigers that that's not going to happen.
I kind of think this was out of Bates's hands. I think Penny had enough of.
Well, that may be
his dad.
True. Yeah,
I think it really was. And then, unfortunately for him, I don't know what's going to happen at Eastern Michigan now with the felony gun charges against him. We'll have to wait and see what occurs with that. I think that's a sad story.
Yeah.
And I hate to say this, but I point the finger at the dad. I think in some ways. And again, I don't know all the details of this new thing with the borrowed car and the fraudulent gun, but I kind of point the finger at the dad, taking him from high school, starting his own program, putting in his head that he was better than anybody else, and that was a bad deal for the kid.
Yeah, if you wanted to take him out of a public high school and put him in an elite basketball academy like Montverde or something like that to accelerate his development, totally get that. IMG. I mean, it is different. It's a different level of competition and different and in the right circumstance. And Kevin Boyle at Montverde would be a good example of really good coaching. And so I get that, but creating this, impromptu basketball academy, that just wasn't that wasn't the right thing for Imani. He needed the competition. He didn't need something built around him. He needed to be part of a team, and whether that was to continue at his high school where they'd won a state championship, or to go somewhere, one of the high level academies that specialize in elite basketball. Those were two good steps for him. This was not a good one.
Mike DeCourcy, it is so good to hear your voice again. I can't wait to talk college hoops all year long. Next time we will discuss the top storylines of the year. Thank you.
Sounds great, Dave. Thanks.
That's our friend. That is Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. He's brought to you by Memphis Public Golf. Oh, yeah. Have you played Galloway lately? Greens are amazing. Course is in great shape. You can play down, no doubt. You don't have to worry. Same thing with Fox Meadows. Fox Meadows wasn't really played all summer long. They put the new greens in, which are fabulous. For new greens with the hybrid Bermuda, they hold. It's phenomenal. I love the new technology with all the superintendent's knowledge of the way to put these things in now. And wait till you see Pine Hill. Wait till you see what they're going to do with Autumn. And the city of Memphis realizes just what an amenity golf is, and they've invested for you. Memphis Public Golf. Go play October the 25th in the putt-out that will be at Overton. It's a really cool deal. Go check the website with all of that. That'll do it for us. Johnny Radio comes your way next. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.